I want to talk about something that happened to me this morning. So, to my knowledge, throughout my entire life, and I've been around for, well over 40 years, not quite as long as half a century, but I'm closer to there than I am in the mid 40s, or at least I'm closer to there than I am to 40. Let's just say. And every night I go out and just kind of look at the stars and just look around. And I live near an airfield. So I'm in Northern California in the East Bay, East San Francisco Bay. And where I live, there's a lot of air traffic that comes in. And usually, the traffic pattern is, I live on kind of the downslope of a hill, but I live on a hill. And usually the air traffic pattern is, I'm just going to kind of, point it from like behind me. I'll just use behind me, I guess is, well, no, if I'm facing it, it'll be easier. So if I'm looking to my left, right, there's kind of a tree line, and that's kind of where the aircraft kind of rise and then fly either over my house or kind of behind it. And then there's a, airfield kind of down the hill. I can see the blinking red light where the airfield is. And that's, closer to the bay, right? I can see kind of the backside of the bay from my house. Or not from my house, but if I go up the hill, I can see the backside of the bay. So, I went outside, and I'm standing out looking up my hill, and there's a parasol, which is like one of those umbrella things that's closed, and it's just directly in front of me. It was a cloudy night, but there was relatively good illumination. Might have to check to see if the moon was out. I couldn't see the moon, but there was like a glow enough that you could see reasonably well. All the houses in my light had been turned off. I turned them off before I went outside. So it was dark. My eyes had some time to adjust. And as I'm sitting there staring up the hill, I see this. It must have been between 0.5, half a second, to 1.5 seconds. It darts up from behind me. That parasol is kind of slightly to my left. It passes the parasol. I would estimate it was probably about 4 to 6 feet away from me. And in terms of the altitude, it was maybe 6 to 9 feet in the air. It kind of bounces in, down, up, and then over the hill, gone. It was not transparent. I could see it with my naked eye. And to be completely fair, like it happened so fast, I'm still not sure that I even saw it. But it had like an orange, yellowish glow, and then fringed on kind of a red-orange fringe. It looked like a little. It was about the size of a basketball, and it looked like a mini sun. It just wasn't. It wasn't as bright. There was no sound whatsoever. I wasn't scared. It just happened so quickly, like that. To the point where I'm trying, like, when you see something, you're like, your mind's still trying to piece together what you just saw. You're thinking, did somebody turn on a flashlight behind me? Did somebody, and I couldn't find any other source of light that it could have possibly been. It was just in and out. And it was between the hours of 1 and 2 a.m. is when I saw this thing. Shortly thereafter, it was almost as if, I'll get back to that because I'm about to engage in speculation. Shortly thereafter, another flight came up over the hill and then behind me and just kind of continued its path toward the airfield. It was clearly an airplane, with the blinking lights, etc. It was distinctly not this other thing, which was much closer, but much faster. And like I said, it was so brief that I'm still unsure what I saw, but it was also timed perfectly so that it was gone seconds before the aircraft kind of broke the seal of the kind of the hill behind my house and started flying over. So,
do you think the people in the aircraft could have seen it?
no, nope.
Yeah. If it had delayed, if it hadn't been as fast, if it had still been within sight of the aircraft, could they have seen it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But
So
it was almost as if it was in and out before the aircraft crested the hill behind my house.
that is really interesting when you think about what that means in terms of what we understand about the physics of these orbs, because a lot of them seem to come that they can phase in and out of reality. So if that's the case and it wanted to hide from the plane, I think that might say something about its capabilities, why it couldn't phase out at that time. Maybe there's some reason, some limitation on its technologies or abilities.
Yeah,
Why it wanted to stay in our plane instead of just phasing out if it could have done that.
Well, it may have, right? It just, so what happened was it zoomed in and then over the hill and then gone. So it could have phased out. It could have just gone beneath the hill, but it was, again, in 1 to 2 seconds, or sorry, in half second to 1.5 seconds, I would estimate, sorry, I'm just doing the kind of the distance. It would have kind of gone up a hill and then down because it was kind of moving nap of the earth. It would have covered that distance in, sorry, I need to estimate the distance. It would have covered a football field in a second.
Okay, so much faster than a drone could go.
Oh, it was not a drone, man.
Yeah. There was no noise.
No. It was not. Like, if there's one thing I'm certain of, it was absolutely, positively not a drone. There's no noise, and a drone doesn't move like that. It was like if I got a laser pointer and just went boop.
Yeah. That's fascinating. What do you think it was? What does your gut tell you?
I don't know.
Because I asked that because another school of thought on this.
The other thing I want to make very clear, right? Like, I'm not on medication. I wasn't drinking. I didn't just wake up. I wasn't dreaming. I just walked outside, and it was like you just see like a flash of something, like a glimpse of something, and it's gone. And you don't have enough. And in fact, like my estimation of 0.1 to 1 second or 1.5 seconds might be an overestimation, right? Because sometimes when you see something like that, time tends to slow a bit because it's so like your mind is still trying to put it together. So,
well, okay. So there's a one thought that phenomenon typically only shows itself to people that it wants to show itself to. I was at a UFO Skywatch recently, and 6 people were able to interact with the phenomenon and see stuff and have these experiences, but there were 20 of us in the group. So over half of the group did not see or experience these things, but 6 people did, and they all corroborate each other's stories. And you see that you repeated time and again when you listen to people with CE5s, and that's what this was. So the phenomenon will show itself to some people in a group and not others. So the fact that you were able to see it, it makes me wonder if it didn't want you to see it.
Well, and the other thing too that's worth mentioning is like this was not through any optics at all, right? This was naked eye at night in those reasonably decent illumination conditions. So again, there was cloud cover. It was windy. The clouds were actually moving earlier that night. They were moving scary fast. Like, I've never seen clouds move that fast, right? Where you just see this like giant cloud and it would just like that fast across the sky. But that was before I had gone outside before then, but the wind at least was blowing at several thousand feet, apparently fairly like fast enough for the clouds to move that fast, and then they just dissipate and you could see it in real time. It was bizarre, but I don't know what it I don't know what it was, right? like I could speculate all sorts of things, but I kind of, in fact, like the crazy, we talk about synchronicities and things like that. So right before our interview, there was an interview with Jim Semivan, right? The former CIA guy who I think works for To the Stars Academy.
Set up to.
He was also, that's the other thing that I think came out. So Gary Nolan did this interview where he was looking at the caudate putamen, right? Which is that area of your brain where he looked at people who were former remote viewers to see if they had anything different. So I think Semivan in that interview, because Nolan talks in a separate interview, talks about examining a husband and wife team. And I think you were saying that, well, I don't know if you were saying this, but
I did talk a little bit about it. I don't think I named the part of the brain because I couldn't remember it, but yeah, Dr. Eric Bard was talking about that a little bit. You know, the scientist from Ranch.
Yeah. So anyway, he was talking about, he did a project on several of these people, but I think, you know, because HIPAA, he couldn't say who they were. I think Jim Semivan just came out and said it was him and his wife. But regardless, going back to the synchronicity comment, right before this interview, and again, this happened, what time is it? So this event happened to me maybe 14 to 15 hours ago. Okay. So this is relatively fresh, and I'm still trying to, because again, I had no negative emotions and no positive emotions. It was just like, did I just like, it would have been like somebody flashed a headlight at me, but there's no cars. Like it would not be like I face a park behind my house. So there's no cars out there. There's no roads. So that's an impossible explanation. But those are the thoughts you have because your brain is going through a Rolodex. Again, this is a remote viewing issue because you don't have words that would be able to describe what you may have just seen. You try to go through that Rolodex of reasonable explanations. So I don't know, like, what could it be? Could it have been in, you know, could it have been a will-o'-the-wisp? Sure. Like, just like, could it have been swamp gas? Well, I don't live anywhere near a swamp, but yeah, sure. Could it have been a portal? I don't know. Extra-dimensional entity, like a UAP, a like deceased relative? I have no idea.
Do you know what ball lightning is?
Tell me more about it.
Well, it's I want to say it's a plasma. I'm people that know about physics, please, you know, tell me about how it works on the physics of it. But yeah, it's this round, you know, it's a spherical electrical thing. It's got little lighting things shooting off of it, and it's fast, and it's it can be different sizes, but yay big.
Yeah, no lightning shooting off.
Okay, yeah.
Like pure. It looked like if you took like a cartoonish picture of the sun, like not cartoonish, but if you took like imagine the sun with a smooth surface, right, where it's just like a pure orb of that color with a fringe, not like a violent solar flare like fringe, but just glowing. Like I could probably replicate it in my video editor, right? Like a reenactment.
It does not sound like ball lightning at all.
No. I mean, if what ball lightning is, if you see like electricity shooting off it, there's definitely not that. It was definitely not that.
So do you think it was alien?
I mean, how would I know? How would I be able to tell?
But it probably wasn't us. You don't think it was a black ops government thing, do you?
No, we don't have that. We do not have that technology.
Okay. So
I mean, just again, 100 meters. What's 100 meters in like 100 meters per second? Actually, that's not that fast, right?
Faster than I could go.
Yeah, but that's not like a bullet is faster than that.
Right. Yeah, not bullet fast, but faster than any drone is going to go.
Oh yeah, no, a drone can't maneuver like that.
Yeah,
it's not. It was 100% not a drone. Like a drone cannot maneuver like that.
So this is a non-mundane object of some sort, whether that's, other dimensional or ultra terrestrial.
Unless there's some way to refract light in a way that confuses your senses, right? Like I'm reaching because it happens so fast.
Yeah. But you could see the point. You could see the actual object. It wasn't refracting off of something.
It just seemed to like zoop zoop gone.
Yeah. Because my one and only UFO sighting was a little bit similar in that it was a specific point in the sky that I could see, and it was very quick and it was over like that.
Yeah, and you weren't like when you're surprised like that, right? Like you're not expecting it, so you're still trying to figure out what just happened.
Okay, so Jim Semivan has talked. We were talking about it earlier, that how it could be dangerous to interact with these.
So that's the synchronicity that I never got to.
The scarier ones are the orbs, because there's not a lot of literature on the orbs, and they are very dangerous. And you don't invite them in. I always like to say, they get close, say something to the orbs, and stay away, or get in the house, or get away from them. They're quite dangerous, and they could be almost anything. They have morphed. We have a lot of literature on them morphing into, beings, sometimes morphing into ships, coming together with other orbs, things along those lines. But there is no central clearinghouse for any of this. MUFON is the only place. I mean, I tell people to go to MUFON and do that.
So like 14 to 15 hours after the incident, right before we had our call, I find this thing on Twitter, and I guess in the post-production maybe we'll play it, but where he talks about, because the one thing I did do was, the thought that I had, and I would have, if I knew I could project it, it was if you just try, if you tried to just show me something, please come back and show me again. I want to make sure what I saw was real. Right. That's the thought that I kind of, that I had. And in his video, he said if you ever see one of these things, they can be highly dangerous. Project a thought to go away, and then you should go inside immediately. I did the exact opposite of what he recommended that I do.
I would too.
But I didn't feel threatened. I wasn't even scared. Like it was just, and there was no sound. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification buttons. Additionally, if you have any feedback, please put something in the comments below. And lastly, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, you can find it above. Thanks again for watching.